So hello, I'm Maddie Harland and I'm at the Oxford Rural Farming Conference 2023, and I'm so pleased to be with my friend and really our mentor, Satish Kumar, who is an ambassador for the Resurgence Trust and the co-founder of Schumacher College and famed walker for peace across the world and speaker, instigator of all sorts of grassroots projects, and also I feel an ambassador for peace and love in its true sense, not just a sort of hippie terminology. So welcome today and thank you for agreeing to talk to me.
And thank you for your very kind words.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask you just a few things to explore where we are now in humanity. You know, it's nothing too small. So Joanna Macy talks about the great turning and the great unravelling. Do you think that we are at a time of the great unravelling, or are we turning?
Yes, I think Joanna Macy is a very visionary woman, and her idea of great turning has a merit. We are at a point of transition. We are moving from the age of economy to the age of ecology. The 20th century was dominated by industrialization, mechanization, and economic growth. We are realizing that industrialization, mechanization, and economic growth has caused many problems, particularly climate change. But also economic conditions are not very happy, not very healthy. People are not feeling contented. And so economic growth has not brought the kind of accomplishment and results that we were hoping for. So economic growth by itself is not enough. And industrialization by itself is not enough. Economic growth and industrialization is causing climate change, but also biodiversity diminishing, and a pollution of oceans, and a pollution of rivers, and a rainforest disappearing. So economic growth is bringing a big cost to the earth, to our environment, to our planet, and also our humanity. The human dignity is diminishing. Humans are seen as a resource for economy. So now, 21st century, I think we are slowly moving towards an age of ecology. So we are on a transition moment, and I would agree with Joanna Macy that it is a kind of turning point.
Yes, and not necessarily an unravelling point to the point of unravelling into entropy.
No, I'm an optimist.
Yes.
And I believe in active hope.
Yes.
Because I think that if you want to change and if you want to bring about transformation, then you have to be an activist. You have to work for it. And in order to be an activist, you have to hope and have an optimism. You have to believe the change can happen for the better. And humanity has capacity to raise its consciousness and rise above the petty, narrow identities and go for a bigger consciousness. And so therefore, my optimism and activism go together. I have active hope. And so my hope is that yes, transformation is possible, and we can create a better society where humanity and nature can live in harmony with each other. And nature is our source of life. Nature is life itself. Nature is not a resource for the economy, but nature is a source of life itself. And therefore humans and nature are one. There are no separation. Humans are as much nature as trees and mountains and rivers and animals and forests. And therefore we need to have a new consciousness. And I believe that, for example, this conference in Oxford, there are nearly 2,000 people here in person looking for some way forward which is more regenerative and more healthy and more ecological. There are 3,000 to 4,000 people are listening to these talks from this conference online. So if there are 5,000 people coming for this one conference, there are many other similar activities going on. So there is a strong grassroots movement emerging, and that, a great river starts small. somewhere in the hills, and then other tributaries join in and become a great river. So I think this great river of transformation is happening, and many individuals and groups and organizations are joining in, and therefore it is going to become a great movement of transformation.
So because often as people get older they become cynical and disengaged, and you're sort of completely opposite example, that as you mature you are even more engaged and energized and inspired by what's happening in the world, and that's a very strong message to send out to younger people. So what buoys your hope? What creates that activism in you?
I mean, for me, nature is my great inspiration. And when I see the abundance of nature and generosity of nature, this year gone, in 2022, we had an apple crop, bumper apple crop. Yeah. We had so many apples that we could not eat them. We made 200 bottles of apple juice. We were putting apples, baskets of apples outside our door and asking people to take away because we can't eat them. Nature is so abundant. So nature is my inspiration and nature is my hope. If nature can continue to give this generosity and this kind of compassion and feed people, humans, animals, everybody, what right do we have to be kind of pessimistic and cynical and think that things will fall apart? The sun is not going to fall apart. The moon is not going to fall apart. The mountains are not going to fall apart. The rivers are not going to stop drinking water giving to us. And soil is not going to stop giving us food. So nature is my inspiration. If nature does not stop giving and sharing and nurturing and nourishing and contributing, I am nature. What right do I have to be a pessimist and say, I give up, nothing is going to change, I'm not going to do anything? No. Nature is my inspiration. I am nature. I'm going to continue to contribute and act and transform and change our society for the better until the last breath of my life.
And you're someone who's through my eyes anyway, you've always had that kind of vision and dedication to following your heart, literally with your feet. What would be your recommendations, advice, or what would you like to say to the young people just awakening to what's happening in the world and looking for their direction and their heart in how to live their lives?
My inspiration came from older generation. I was inspired by Bertram Russell, who was 90 years old, and he went to jail protesting against the nuclear weapons.
Yes.
I was 26 years old, young man at that time. So I said to myself that if a man of 90 can go to jail for peace in the world, what am I doing, young man, sitting here in city of Bangalore in India, drinking coffee? And so older people can give inspiration to younger people. So inspired by Bertrand Russell, I walked from India to Moscow and to Paris, to London and to Washington DC, and delivered packets of peace tea to the Kremlin, to the White House, and met Martin Luther King.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and that was great privilege. He was an embodiment of love. Absolutely. And he gave me inspiration. You asked me what inspires me.
Yes.
People like Bertrand Russell and Martin Luther King. And me, I met Bertrand Russell and I met Martin Luther King. And so I would say that we need to remain active and do our best and our contribution without expecting any results for ourselves. When Martin Luther King was fighting for racial equality, he did not know that one day a black man could be a president of the United States of America and be in the White House. But Barack Obama did that. And so change can happen. Berlin Wall came down. Nelson Mandela, after 27 years in jail, became free and president of New South Africa. Anti-apartheid movement was successful. Berlin Wall came down, Soviet Empire came down, British Empire came down, colonialism came down. So change always happen. So we have to have hope and activism and continue.
And I think this point about non-attachment to outcomes is one of the most sort of fundamental life lessons, that we just carry on for over the decades, regardless of how successful we are, how many people are listening, and the impact that we have in the world. We just carry on with our core values, and things come.
Absolutely,
Things come in the end.
absolutely. And that is a good thing, because if we start worrying about results, we will worry and worry, because results are not in our hands.
No.
Results are not under our control. Action is in our hands, and action is in our control. We can act, we can do our best, and then leave it to the universe, and let the universe decide. And eventually, this change and this transformation and this new idea will build up, and a turning point, tipping point will come, and when things will see big change. And so it took long time for Mahatma Gandhi to struggle to make India independent.
Yes.
It took long time to many movements. Anti-apartheid movement was a long struggle. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. So we should not worry about results. And you are doing good work, Permaculture magazine. You just carry on. And I do Resurgence, I do Schumacher College, but carry on. We are doing our best in the service of humanity. It's not for ego. It's not for my name, my fame, my money, my prestige, my power. It's not about me. It's service to humanity, service to our precious planet Earth. We are in the service of each other, and we look after land, and land looks after us. We look after our children, children look after us. We look at our husbands and wives look after us. So we look after each other. All thriving is mutual. We cannot exist individually, separately. We are all connected, we are all related, we are interbeings. So if we have that thing in our heart, then we do everything in the service of humanity, and with our utmost love and compassion. And with that we are happy. And then what happens, what results, universe will give us. One day things will change. We have to have a hope, but we don't have attachment.
Yes, exactly. And when we work and live like that, we are endlessly fed and cared for from the source itself, and every day is joyful. And I don't know, I wake up in the morning and I go outside, and it's often raining where I live, and my joy is, I think, the pond I've just made will be filling up, and the stream will be flowing and will be energized, and it doesn't always have to be this ideal sunny day life.
That's right.
It can be a rainy day and still be very beautiful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, every day is important day. And every action we do is important action. Every word we speak is important word. And so, anything is made of small things. Like a great river is made of small tributaries. So life is made of small actions. If each action we do, like you make a pond, or you sow some seeds in the garden, or you plant a tree, that each action adds up. If millions of people do their best, without attachment, without any kind of ego, but more as a service, then I think this will add, and we are going to have a better world. And it's not going to be utopia.
No.
It's not going to be utopia.
No.
There's no utopia. But it's always transforming, changing, evolving, and making our lives better and more contented and more happy.
And I think this is the essence of activism, is that it's not some grand vision or big actions often. It's the small daily practice.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a small daily practice which makes us big. Smallness has the bigness. That daily practice, the seed out of which the great tree grows. the small action every day of love and care and compassion and looking after the land, looking after children, looking after our trees, looking after our planet. The small actions every day we do that will build up and will accumulate together, and many people do it together, then it becomes big change.
And you're such a great advocate for the grassroots. You've never become so well known or grand that you've not empowered and celebrated the grassroots. You've never lost that Gandhian worldview of the power of small and simple solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. Mahatma Gandhi was one of my great inspiration, and decentralized small action every day with humility. The word humility is a very important word in a Gandhian perspective, because humility comes from the word humus, and humus means soil. So soil is always humble, and soil is always undiscriminating. Soil, you put a seed in the soil and soil will feed you. Soil will make that seed into a tree or into a plant, and it will become a sweet corn, it will become a cucumber, it will become a tomato plant, it will become, one potato will grow into 20 potatoes. So that small seed has the power to become a great oak tree or great apple tree or great mango tree. So never underestimate the importance of small. Seeds are always small, and every human being is like a seed. We are a seed and we can become a tree. So Mahatma Gandhi was my great inspiration. And also E.F. Schumacher.
Yes.
He wrote a book called Small is Beautiful.
Yes.
Small is more human scale. When you become big, it becomes impersonal, and you lose the kind of imaginative and creativity and that quality. And so small, simple and humble is powerful. Small is not without power. Small, simple and humble is very powerful.
Thank you so much for talking to me
My
today,
pleasure.
Satish.
My pleasure.
Such a pleasure. As always.
I want a garden so